Okay, fam, welcome back. So today we're going to be going over the native cryptocurrency top picks, Fibonacci retracements. So with that being said, let's get it. All right. So um, first things first, as you guys know, unfortunately, Bitcoin has pulled back a little bit. Am I worried about this? Not really. I mean, look, we're going into basically the elections pretty much any time between now, well, between the Fed cutting rates. We already know what they're going to do, so that's kind of pretty much out of the way. It's just a question of how much they're going to cut by. It's not whether they're going to cut, it's how much by. But we're going into peak, basically peak volatility, peak uncertainty. So am I surprised that crypto and stocks have been a little bit more volatile lately than normal? Not really. It's kind of to be expected. So again, volatility is going to increase as we go into the elections. Once the elections are done, it's off to the races from that point. In my opinion, I think Q4 as a whole is going to be green ultimately. I think that stocks and crypto will be much, much higher than they are now by the end of this year. Okay. Plus, the other thing you got to think about is a lot of these guys that trade and do this for a living, they probably had to mark their books for the end of the quarter, so they were probably taking profits as of yesterday because again, businesses in general operate on a quarterly basis. They're not like individual taxpayers. They don't have to pay taxes once a year. They have to pay taxes once a quarter. And a lot of companies out there, they kind of measure their, especially among the higher paying jobs, they'll measure you on a quarterly basis. That's kind of to be expected. So these guys, they probably basically just wanted to lock in profits at the end of the quarter just to show that the books are good, and then theoretically things should and probably will go higher from here. Okay, so let's go ahead and get into this. Last thing I wanted to say, the president or vice presidential debate is happening soon, roughly within about an hour or so from now. You guys are free to watch that if you want to. I'm going to. I can tell y'all right now, I will not be voting for Tim Walz or Kamala Harris. I do not believe in them. I do not believe in their ideologies. I think that they're liars. And I think that nothing that comes out of their mouth can be trusted. That's just my personal opinion. So I've seen enough of JD Vance to believe in the values of what he stands for. I actually initially thought that Trump's VP pick was going to be Tulsi Gabbard, but looking back in time, it actually makes sense, in my opinion, that JD Vance was the guy and not Tulsi. But I do think Tulsi has a place in Trump's cabinet. So let's go ahead and get into this stuff now that we got all that out of the way. So let's take a look at the retracement levels here. All right, so we're going into Q4. Q4 is generally a very bullish time of the year, just in general. I mean, bullish seasonality is called that for a reason, okay? So, you got earnings in Q4, you have the elections, you have the Fed cutting rates, you have the midterms are also this year. And then even if it wasn't an election year, we didn't have all that. We didn't have the Fed raising or cutting rates. Q4 is generally bullish anyways, for crypto especially, but also for the entire economy because you have holidays where people spend money for their kids and families and stuff like that for Thanksgiving, Halloween, even, and then Christmas and New Year's, and going kind of deep into that Q1 of the following year. So generally speaking, Q4 does actually favor the bulls over the course of history. So if we're taking a look at the local fibs here on Litecoin, we got 156, 220, 284, and then 320. Again, 320 is pretty high. I mean, that's pretty much almost the previous retracement level. If that's all that did, I mean, that's still a massive return. You're talking nearly a 5x. And you guys can only imagine what that would do for the price of LTCN, because again, LTCN kind of has that multiplier with the premiums that it has on there. So that's something to keep in mind. So Litecoin, kind of the macro cycle low to cycle high potential targets here. And this, I mean, it is possible. Whether it happens or not remains to be seen. 635, 1,000, roughly about 1,400, and 1,650. And for those of you guys that are big Bitcoiners and you don't really know a whole lot about Litecoin, or you only care about the Grayscale Trust, I will tell you something about Litecoin. So Litecoin is one of the few cryptocurrencies out there besides Bitcoin that actually has a halving event every 4 years. Believe it or not, it does. This is why I think Litecoin will go up in value over time, even though it hasn't yet, because eventually Bitcoin will get so expensive that people will not be able to afford it. Most people will not be able to, even corporations may not be able to afford it. It'll get so expensive. And they're going to have to turn to something else. Well, that's something else, in my opinion, next to maybe Ethereum with the whole burning mechanism, is going to be Litecoin. Because again, Litecoin has a hard cap of 84 million compared to Bitcoin's 21 million. It does have a halving every 4 years, and the supply gets cut in half every single time it has a halving. But Litecoin throughout history has generally gone up with Bitcoin. It hasn't really gone up on its own, but I think at some point there is going to be a divergence, and Litecoin will start to go up parabolically, cycle by cycle, on its own, because it'll become the next most best thing to Bitcoin, most affordable next to Bitcoin. Of course, this is just my opinion. So, potential MACD golden cross going on here. Again, it's been a long time since we had one. That was November of 2023, so almost a year ago. Okay, so one of our personal favorites here, Filecoin or Philcoin. I know people have a thing about PhilG, FileG, whatever. So let's take a look at that. Again, there is a MACD golden cross convergence happening right now, breakout of the RSI, so that's very bullish. Whoops, wrong tool. So let's scratch that. Okay, so doing the retracement here, I mean, we have levels, multiple different levels. So we have 18, 27, 36, and 42. I mean, just getting to 42 from the current prices by itself is more than a 10x. It's definitely possible. You can see 28 is kind of in between those fib levels there. That is a swing level. I mean, we could run up to 28, kind of get rejected, bounce off, and then boom, blast off to the upside after that. That's totally possible. It wouldn't even shock me, really, if there was just a candle that just smashed straight through this zone right here and just completely disrespected it and just went straight through into the moon. That could always happen. That's definitely a possibility. So in terms of the macro here, I mean, these levels are absolutely ridiculous. Whether it's going to do this or not, I don't know. But you're looking at 381, 606, 842, and 975. So yeah, 975. I mean, that's roughly about a 300x. Is that possible? Yes, it is. I do actually think it's possible. I mean, again, Dogecoin in the last cycle did a 750x. So it's absolutely within the realm of possibility here. AIOZ. It's a little hard to see, but you can see the MACD is starting to, the EMA is starting to curl up there. So that's definitely a bullish sign, I would say. Okay, retracement level here. We're looking at roughly about 151, 220, 293, and 337 respectively. So from 337 from the current price, I mean, it's still potentially roughly about an 8x. I mean, an 8x is a great return. I do think AIOZ is actually going to be one of the bigger runners this cycle. I'm going to be honest about it. It's a much smaller cap than something like Render. A lot of people are invested in this. A lot of people are stoked about this. It's actually a double whammy. It's not just an AI play. It's also a DPIN project. So that's extremely bullish. In terms of top fib levels here, 185, 315, 435, and roughly about 510. So 510, that's more than a 5x the current price. I mean, that's a it's a pretty good return. I think it could actually do much more than that. But again, these are just fib levels. I mean, AIOZ theoretically could go to like $10 or $20. That's absolutely possible. I wouldn't even be shocked if it happened. Okay, synthetics. This is one that we used to have. We don't currently own. MACD Golden Cross just got oversold back in August, July. So this thing looks like it's about ready to rip. Okay, so local levels here, we're looking at excuse me, $11, $16.50, $22.40, and $26 respectively. Do keep in mind that 26 is pretty much about the previous all-time high here. So again, this would basically be going from the local level to the top Fibonacci, would be equal to the previous all-time high. Now, in terms of price discovery, this is what this is. This macro retracement is price discovery. We're looking at roughly about 41.66, 90, and roughly about 105. So 105, you're talking, I mean, just stupid gains at that point. Absolutely stupid. I don't even know how much that is. Let's actually figure that out. So I want to say about a 50x, but I'm not sure. So 105 divided by 140, 75x. So I mean, you put $1,000 in, you make $75,000. It's definitely possible. Aleph, this is another AI project. I don't know where this is on the market cap of CoinGecko. I'll have to go back and take a look. But as far as I know, it's actually quite small compared to the top 100. So 69 cents, 104, 140, and 164 respectively. Again, 164 would basically be a 10x from the current price. I mean, if I was invested in this and that's all I got, I would be very happy with that, because I mean, you could put $100 in, make 1,000, put 1,000 in, make 10,000. You could always move that money out of this position if it runs ahead of others. Let's say you put 1,000 in, you pull out 10,000, and then you say, well, I want to put aside my initial investment plus taxes, so that way I don't lose anything. You drop 6,000 on another project that's at the bottom that hasn't run yet, and then you get another 10x. Well, now you're not up $9,000, you're up $69,000. So something to think about. Okay, so Algorand. This has been a popular project throughout the years. I don't see any reason why this one can't fly off the handles. So 47 cents, 71 cents, 95 cents, and roughly about 110 respectively. Again, 110 gives this thing about a 9x. And you can see the previous all-time high was way, way higher than where we currently are, which again is another reason why I believe we have not seen a true alt season yet. They kind of just gave us a tasting, so to speak, back at the start of the year. So 472, 736, 1030, and roughly about 1210. So monster gains here. I mean, you're talking, if it does get that high, nearly 100x move. Okay, Bitcoin Cash. I'm sure a lot of people are probably wondering about this. This is definitely possible. So you got about 1,015, 1,415, 1860, and 2150. Again, how much movement these things get really depend on how much hype is behind it. So, if everybody and their brother on TikTok and every other social media platform are talking about any of these projects, and a lot of people believe in it and they put their money into it, well, guess what's going to happen? So 2,700, 4,180, 5,800, and 6,800. I don't know if it can go all the way up to 6,800. I mean, mathematically it's possible. I mean, Binance went from, God, I don't even have Binance on here, but Binance went from I think it was a few bucks up to $600. So anything's possible here. Let's actually take a look at that, because I'm really curious. I haven't looked at Binance in a long time, but we're going to take a look at that real quick. Okay. So yeah, you can see Binance is low way down here. I mean, this is ridiculous. So look at this. Binance at the lows back during 2018 was $4. Okay. So do I think Bitcoin Cash can hit 6,000? Absolutely. So at Binance's peak, it was at $720. So let's do the math on this. 720 divided by 4. 180x. So can Bitcoin Cash go to 6,800? Yes, it can. It's just a matter of whether it will or not. Again, it kind of depends on what the market chooses to favor. More people talk about it, the more explosive the move is likely to be. Okay, so I'm going to fly through the rest of these real quick. So retracements here, we're looking at 290, 450, $6, $7 on Banker. And again, Banker is one that we do actually hold. We like this one a lot. It's been around for a long time and it showed some promise. So taking a look at the macro levels here, we're looking at $16, $24, 33, and 39. Again, these are definitely possible, especially with institutions getting in now. The more money that flows into the crypto space as a whole, the more bullish it is for these projects, and the more projects that will likely come onto the market for people to buy as well. So that's something to consider. Okay, Compound. This one, again, has been around for eons. This was actually one of the OG projects listed on Coinbase, if I'm not mistaken. along with a few others like Augur and Bitcoin Cash and whatnot. So 142, 210, 280, 322. Again, that's absolutely within the realm of possibility. This thing was at $900 on the last cycle peak. So price discovery, we're looking at 1500, 2420, 3300, and 3900 respectively. I mean, these gains are just getting obscene at this point, but again, anything is possible. Okay, Crow. Again, this is an exchange token. So the idea here is when the exchanges start getting massive influx of volumes, in theory, because their token is listed on their website, money will flock into these and these will moonshot. That's kind of the idea here. Okay, so 25, 36, 48, and 55 respectively. Again, 55 kind of goes up to that swing high up there. You can see how this lines up nicely. And then the macro retracement here, 164, 252, 346, and 409. Again, this is possible for Crow to hit new all-time highs in the next cycle because, people use these exchanges to buy and sell cryptos. I've actually used crypto.com as well, believe it or not. It's a pretty easy site to use. The only problem with crypto.com is the headquarters is based overseas. So if you transact in too much money, again, I think it's like $10,000 aggregate on an annual basis or something like that, you have to file, I believe, what's known as an FBAR and FATCA form. And if you do not, you will get penalized up the yin yang by the FinCEN and IRS, and they will basically take your life financially, and that's not good for anybody. So, of course, do your own research on that to understand what you're getting into. So 111, 166, 220, and 256 on Dash. Again, 256 is not even the previous peak here. So previous peak was 473. Again, at one point, Dash was stupidly bullish. I mean, this thing went from like $5 to 1,600. So anything's possible here. So 750, 1,200, 1,700, and 2,000 respectively. 2,000 would be a basically about 100x on this token. Okay, Dogecoin. This is one that we had on last cycle. This was a very, very explosive project. I was not even expecting this thing to catch this much fire. It was kind of crazy to watch it. So local retracement here, 35 cents, 51 cents, 67, and the top fib lines up with the previous all-time high right about that 75-cent level. Now, if this thing does a third all-time high, which again, I mean, this is Dogecoin, this is a meme coin, it would not surprise me if this happened. The new all-time highs would be roughly about 120, 196, 262, and just over $3 for Dogecoin, which would still give Dogecoin about a 30x the current price. Okay, ETH Classic. This one is going to likely moonshot with Ethereum when Ethereum goes to all-time highs. Again, we'll look at the ETH Bitcoin dominance when it breaks out. So 55, 81, 106, and 122. I mean, again, you can see ETH Classic 2017 hit an all-time high, and then it hit a new all-time high in the last cycle. So, yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if this thing hit another all-time high during this bull run. Okay, so 277, 435, 602, and roughly about $700. $700, I mean, that's I think that's about a 35x. Okay, I'm not going to do fetch because that's a merger token at this point, so you guys are welcome to look that up in your own time. So Gala, we're looking at roughly about, let's see here, 13 cents, 20 cents, 27 cents, and roughly about 31 cents respectively. Again, 31 cents is still almost a 15x. And in terms of price discovery, 140, 222, 306, and 360. We'll just call that 360. Nice even number. I mean, that comes out to 180x return. I would not be surprised. I mean, Gala hasn't really moved much. It was one of the top gaming coins in the last cycle, so it was extremely explosive. Kind of really wish I had bought more back then. Kind of sucks in hindsight. Again, these crypto markets fool people. They tend to overshoot most people's expectations. So 74 cents, 112, 154, and 175 respectively on Graph. I do think Graph is going to do extremely well this cycle. Again, it's only had one bull run. A lot of these altcoins generally tend to run pretty heavy even in a second run. So 450, 743, $10, and roughly about $12. Okay, ICP. 30, 44 and a half, 59, and then 67 respectively. I can tell y'all right now, I don't think it goes back to $700. Maybe it's possible this thing does about half of the previous all-time high, maybe 350. I mean, that would still be an insane return. I mean, could it go higher than 700? Sure, but I don't know. I don't see it happening. So, I mean, it would still be a 44x. If it goes back up to 700 and you guys are in it, well, hey, congratulations. I was wrong. Okay, so IOTX, 15 cents, 23 cents, 31 cents, and roughly about 36 cents respectively. 36 cents still comes out to a 9x. All right, price discovery here, 84 cents, 133, 180, and 200, and we'll just call that $2.10. So you can do the math on that. All right, Chainlink. I do think Chainlink's going to have a big run this cycle. It was extremely popular during both the bull market and the bear market. So 31.50, 47, 61, and roughly about 70. I'd say 70 could definitely be within the cards. I mean, that's only a 7x. Mana, this is going to be a tricky one to actually. It's hard to know where the top on this one is going to be because again, the metaverse, gaming, all that stuff is still a very bullish narrative. 120. 180 to 45 and 280 respectively. 280 puts it at roughly about a 10x. Again, that's still not even the previous all-time high, which again, the previous all-time high could definitely go much higher. You can see in the first run up, it only went to 170 and then it skyrocketed up to $6. So 960, 1520, 21, and then roughly about $25 respectively. $25 would be a nearly another 100x move on this thing. Okay, render, about to get that golden cross. You guys can see it forming down there. This is basically a one shot since it already hit all-time highs. We're only looking at price discovery on this one. So $21, $31, $41.70, and $48.50 respectively. I mean, $48.50 is still nearly like an 8-9x. I mean, that's huge. I do think render has the potential to do more than that, but it is already pretty high on the market cap. All right, Shiba Inu. So you're looking at 6,000, 10,000, 13,600, and 15,800 respectively. 15,800 still being roughly about an 8x. That previous, or basically where the current price is, macro level here. 14,100, 22,000, 30,000, and then 35,000. So 35,000 would be, not sure exactly what here. I think a little bit more than a 20x on this one, which again, I mean, it is a meme coin, so that's definitely possible. I mean, everybody loves the memes. I mean, I'm not going to lie. We had some Shiba Inu and Doge in the last cycle, and they definitely did pretty well. So we may end up picking up some more meme coins before the end of this bull run. I can tell you that right now. So 20 cents, 31 cents, 41 cents, and 48 cents respectively. 48 cents, still pretty good return on scale. That is a 16x. Macro retracement here, this is even more ridiculous, but again, these numbers are absolutely possible. So $2.10, 335, 466, and we'll say roughly about 530 on that top one. So what would $5.30 divided by 4 cents be? I mean, that would just be like stupid gains. 132x. So again, I mean, there's no guarantee it has to go that high, but if you put $1,000 in, you'd make 132,000. I mean, I don't know if you guys have seen the story of the Dogecoin millionaire, but he put like $50,000 or $60,000 his entire life savings into Doge. And by the peak of the cycle, his entire Doge net worth was $3 million. He never sold, but I mean, hey, anything's possible. So 415, 686, 910, and 1,070 on Solana. So yes, $1,000 Solana, according to the Fib, is definitely possible. I'm actually not going to do track. You guys can look that up in your own time, but that is one that we had before. We made some profit on that before the creation of this channel. Okay, so XTZ, 236, 330, 435, and $5. $5, roughly about an 8x. That's not bad. But again, we're looking for these explosions here in price. Okay, we're looking for the 10, 20, 30, 50x moves. I mean, we're not looking for little small moves here. Okay, so 1430, 2270, 3170, and roughly about 30. We'll just call that $37. So, I mean, I think that's like about a 50x. Again, if it was $65, that'd be 100x. So yeah, it should be roughly about a 50x. All right, 2 more to go. So Zcash, this one is starting to slowly show signs of life, very slowly. So 57, 75, 94, and roughly about 105 respectively. 105 is still a big move. I mean, it's not massive, but I mean, a 5x is a 5x. Who's going to be upset about that? Okay, so big macro level retracement here. We got 616, 980, 1330, and 15. We'll just call that 1580. So big moves here. I mean, that's I don't even know what that is. Let's actually measure it. I can't wrap my head around these numbers. They're so massive. It's crazy to think this is possible, but this is crypto. So 58. I mean, there's some coins that have done like stupid, and we're talking like stupid returns, like 1,000, 2,000, 5,000, even 10,000x. So, when I talk about Dogecoin, that's for a coin that everybody knows about. Okay, you talk about these meme degenerate coins that are on these kind of startup exchanges that just got created, that are like 1,000 or lower in the market cap. I mean, yeah, 500,000, 5,000, 10,000 X's become possible, but it becomes much more risky also. So 2670, 40, 51, 58. I mean, if you're a super degen and you think like, I'll just put $100 into like 10 or 20 different coins, and you think one of those is going to do 1,000x, if just one of them does 1,000x and you lost 100% of your money on the other 19, I mean, you still made out like a bandit. Who cares, right? So 220, 350, 500, and 575. I mean, again, in crypto, it's all about returns. If you come out positive, that's all that matters. And again, it's not how much you make, it's how much you keep. Do keep that in mind, because these bull runs only come around once every 4 years. So Horizon, roughly about a 76x. Anyways, hope you all enjoyed this content. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see y'all later. Peace.